remember going to Graceland.
Yeah, I did that too.
We didn't go in. We just hung out outside.
You didn't go
I'm
in?
like, oh, this is like just basically on the side of Route 1 in New
It's
Jersey.
weird.
Like, oh, there's Taco Bell, there's Walgreens, and there's Graceland.
Yeah, it's super weird. It's like you could tell that there had to have been life in that town at some point, but it's kind of sad how like it just, like you said, there's all the disparities there, but Graceland was really cool. Like walking actually through the house was cool. I learned a lot that I didn't know. You can't go upstairs though, but it was cool.
Why can't you go upstairs?
I don't know. They block it off. They're like, you're happy you're in the house. Don't go upstairs. I don't know.
Oh, because Elvis is still alive.
Probably. That's probably what he's doing. And he's just like, haha, I'm getting all this money just while they come in and pay. But it was cool. And then you got to go through like the horse stables or whatever they had that ended up being its own little museum. And then like the giant museum afterwards that I probably spent way more time than I needed to in there. But it was cool.
Did you go to, did you make your way over to, the name of the hotel is blank on me, but where King was shot?
Yeah. Walk through that too.
Yeah,
that was
heavy,
really,
right?
yeah.
It's totally like preserved. I assume it still is, right? The same cars.
You walk right up to the room, like the room next to it. You see everything. I did like my 4th grade book report on that. And like that, I don't know why I have like a thing, but I really just enjoy that whole timeline of things and just learning about Martin Luther King Jr. and all of that. So I thought that was really cool.
Are you a history buff?
No, I'm horrible with history. But I don't know, just Black history and like slavery and all of that I found very, like of any of the history I found that interesting over anything else.
Huh, interesting.
But other than that, there's a lot of things I should know that I don't know. And then as like movies come out and you're like, oh, and I'm like, I don't know the ending. And they're like, you don't know how the story goes? I'm like, I don't. But now I'm interested because it's in a movie form.
Well, we've got a history teacher here.
Yeah, sorry.
Bill, so he'll be assessing our historical accuracy. We'll get graded.
Yeah, I just learned that I was doing Sudoku. It looked like I was digitally taking notes, but it was just Sudoku in class.
I don't think you're the only one who does that.
Math and science is more my thing. Well, my dad's the biggest American history buff ever, so you'll appreciate that, even though I can't give you any background.
You guys go get a coffee sometime. That'll be nice. So you and I, we connected over the phone. It was really lovely to speak with you, and the vibe that I got, and you just said it, is like you seek adventure, energy, and adventure. So I assume you've traveled quite a bit.
I would love to say that. Not as much as I would like, but I feel like I'm now on that beginning grind of starting to add more to my repertoire of traveling. So, I mean, Fiji and Survivor was definitely a big travel, but Portugal I went to, but out and like Ireland, but outside, and then Costa Rica. But outside of that, like nothing too crazy other than like family vacations. But I remember because, during COVID or right before COVID, I was like, oh, I have good money now. I'm an adult. I can start traveling. I'm like, I'm really going to travel and do all the things. And then COVID happens. And I'm like, okay, never mind. So now that that's gone through, I'm like, all right, now I need to plan something every year. Oh, and I did go to Whistler for snowboarding. So that is.
Where's that?
It's in Canada, like above Seattle. So my goal is to do a winter snowboarding trip somewhere on the West Coast or wherever every year, or maybe every other. And then an actual summer trip or any time of the year of like somewhere around the world. So I'm in the beginning stages of chipping that off the list.
Oh, that's very cool. There's so much of even though there's no snowboarding to be had here in Monmouth County, there's a huge culture.
Yeah.
And I think it's cousins of the surfing culture.
Yeah.
Do you surf?
I dabble. I really enjoy it, but I'm still really new into it. So I'm still learning a lot. So I'm like in the beginner stage. But I really do enjoy it.
I gave it a couple tries. It was like a hot mess.
It's hard. I like snowboarding better for different reasons. I feel like the fact that you're strapped in is easy. But surfing and just being in the water and being in the ocean and Mother Nature is just like a whole nother level of just awesomeness. But yeah, it's hard.
My wife and I, like, we've traveled. I think we've been fortunate. We've traveled a good bit, but like you say, it's like never enough because like once you get the bug, it's like you want to keep doing things. But we tend to find ourselves in places that are really popular for skiing and snowboarding, but during the summer. So we're in Killington.
How was it in the summer? Beautiful?
It was 1,000,000 degrees in Killington when we were there in the summer. And the only
It's like
people
that in the winter
there,
now too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
The only people there were like very, very few employees at some of the places and mountain bikers.
Mm-hmm.
So those trails get hit with mountain bikes, and those guys and gals are insane.
I've been wanting to bring bring my mountain bike there and doing that too. And I have all the things, and I just haven't gone out to do that. But so, did you mountain bike at all while you were there?
No, I just happened to notice it. We were there just chilling out. Like, I think it was our first trip away after our first kid was born. So it was just like, we were just stoked
to be on,
to not be like here and like changing diapers. So we could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
But we did hiking. Like, we hiked through those mountains.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was really beautiful. I just remember how hot it was. And then the same thing in Jackson Hole.
I want to go there.
Summertime. But you could, I mean, there's our sports you can do. So we kayaked or duckied. I think it's called a ducky down the Snake River. And
that sounds cool.
It was scary.
Yeah.
My buddy, he doesn't live there anymore.
I like scary.
Oh, well, then you should ducky down the Snake River and find yourself at some point. There's a spot along the Snake River called, I think, the washing machine. So there's rapids. There's like, I think it's class 1, class 2. And on this one stretch, there's a class 3. And we went out, and a buddy of mine was living out there. He was like, a landscaper, a tour guide, a bartender, like how you have to do in some of these places to survive. But like, you're there because you want to live there. And he took us down the Snake River. And he's given us instructions. My wife and I are in one ducky. He's in a solo one. And it's like, we went through the first like class 1. If I'm saying the wrong words, sorry world. But we'll just call it a 1. And it's like, oh, that's cool. And then there was class 2, which was like, that was like, it was like a little intense for us. It's like not our jam.
I'm sure it is. I've never done like any rafting like that before.
It's amazing. And then we're in some stretch, which is really peaceful. And he's like, okay, look, in about 5 or 10 minutes, there's something that's a little bit more intense. And I feel like if I told you about it, you just wouldn't have come. But I know you guys are good. You're going to be fine. Maybe it's called the lunchbox.
And you're kind of like, you don't know me. I definitely don't want to do this.
He's one of my best friends. He's one of my best friends, which is why he trapped us. And he goes, you're going to hear it before you see it. And I'm like, oh no. And sure enough, we're like cruising down, and you just feel like, like when subwoofers are getting like tested, you just like feel. And then he's like, gave us the instructions. Make sure you. I'm like, just going. All that's going right through my head. And then he just disappears. Like, oh God. And then sure enough, there it was, the washing machine or the lunchbox, and you can see locals. That's where like locals hang out and like drink beer.
The people watch.
Yeah, and they're like, here comes another bunch of New Jersey assholes.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it didn't seem funny at the time, but I would probably do the same thing. So we ate it. My wife was much better than me. He's like, just make sure you don't let go of the oar. Of course, I'm like, and just trying to survive. And we're cruising down. So we're out of the boat. We're holding onto the boat. And he's like, all right, super important. Make sure you keep your knees and your legs up and float until we get to a calm area, because the shale, it's shallow. The shale will just slice your feet all up. So I'm like, oh, Dave, you fucker. And yeah. So you should make your way out to Jackson Hole.
I definitely will. That was my next snowboarding trip plan, but I am not opposed to doing that in the summer either, because it's like there's all those fun things that I wouldn't even think about trying to do. Because I would think winter when I would think Jackson Hole.
100%.
So now it just like opened me up for more travel, more times of the year. So thank you very much.
It's gorgeous. And there's mountain biking out there, and, wildlife too, which is unlike here. I feel like, there's hurricanes and flooding sometimes, but generally nature, like, won't kill you.
No.
Like out there, like you have to be very careful. Like there's something that can kill you, and it adds.
Did you see a moose?
Yes. At a great
I've
distance.
not seen one in person. I've been wanting to.
It was so far away.
They're ginormous.
Yeah, I couldn't get the perspective, but
that's cool.
There's
a
rest stop in New Jersey or New York. If anyone knows it, that has like a statue, and it's a life-size statue of one of the larger species, maybe the one that lives out that way. And you're just like, come on, this isn't real.
Right?
It was so far, which is good, because I heard that like if if you're on their shit list, like you're dead. So
Yeah, I heard that they're definitely not something you want to like go over and try to pet.
no. Oh, nicey nice.
And like, oh, come here, moose, moose.
Moose, moose. That's what you have to say. So you're obviously you're an adventurous person. Is it that spirit that sort of led you to wanting to be on Survivor? Like, was that a dream of yours?
Survivor was a huge dream. So like, I think I was 10 when the show came out. And the second I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, this has me written all over it. Like the challenges alone looks like just a giant adult obstacle course. And I was like, yes, that is me, hands down. I always felt like I had very like useless talents, not useless, but like talents that would only work in this exact setting that don't apply to a job in real life.
Right.
So like I have great balance. I can do whatever those things are. So things like that, I was like, yes, that sounds fun. I am chatty Cathy, super social. So like a social game environment like that. I love puzzles. I love riddles. I love all those things. And I felt every single individual aspect of that game is exactly what I feel like my biggest strengths are. And then the fact that you're just like in this beautiful jungle of nature, which I always loved. So from 10 till now, I was always like, I'm definitely going to go on that show. It's just a matter of when. So I was like, oh, I got to go through school. I got to like, go through college. Like you can't just take time off. So I had to wait until I was like an adult and had a job that I could take 6-7 weeks off. So then it kind of worked out well that I started my own business. And then I was like, well, I'm not going to fire me. So I'll just take time off. So that was when I chose to apply. Took like, I think 3 attempts because COVID was in the middle of that. And then I finally got on, but I don't know. I just had this confidence that I was like, I know I want to do it. And I know that once I apply, I'll get told yes. So I have to apply when I'm ready.
What's the application process like?
So the first application process is like a 3-minute video of just like an audition video. You explain who you are, which has its own like learning curve about it. Because then so what's funny is I did a video. They specifically say like, don't do any skits. And I couldn't help myself. I did a little skit anyway of being Jeff and I pretend to do my own challenge. And then I got to the second application process, which is like doing the written application. And then I didn't hear anything. And then like the following year, my parents' neighbor posted on Facebook, like, check out my nephew. He's on Survivor this year. And so my mom was like, oh my God, my daughter's been dying to get on Survivor. So then he said, have her reach out to me and I'll help her out. So I got to reach out to him. He was so nice. And he kind of explained, he's like, this is not a job interview. Like, be raw, be yourself. Like, they don't want to hear scripted. Like, you want to just have your energy and be yourself. So then and he kind of gave me some tips that I like watched. And then I redid my video and then everything just fell into place from there. So,
what great advice.
It was amazing. Like, I was so grateful.
You would have surely done another skit.
No, I was going to cut out the skit. I was going to have to redo it, but it was like those little helpful tips that just remind you, like, don't sound polished, don't sound scripted. Like, it makes sense because they want to know, like, are you good at storytelling? Are you engaging? If I ask you a question, like, is the audience going to watch it? Are you boring? So if you are scripted, that doesn't help them figure out if you're going to be good on the spot out there. And then you do the written application. Then after that, then you get to talk to Jeff through FaceTime. And I was like, this is the coolest thing in my entire life. I have Jeff FaceTiming me on my phone. This is so cool. And then you talk to the producers. And then if you make it that far, then you go to finals. And then you do like this 4-hour psych eval to make sure that you are safe to yourself and others. And that you're not going to just like mentally snap while you're out there.
What was that like?
It was a lot of like mind control questions. I thought it was very interesting.
How so?
Like, when you look in the mirror, do you hear voices talking to yourself? Like, do you see other faces or voices? Is there something telling you to hurt someone? Like, in multiple, like, same question, multiple different ways, several times. And I'm like, all right, I really get the point here. Are you going to lose your mind out there? So I thought that was really interesting. But then what was also really cool was all the rest of the questions were kind of, I don't know, random. Like if someone was to, I don't know, steal something, would you trust them? Do you think they should go to jail? Like kind of like your moral code of things, and then random things of, do you like to buy flowers or decorate, whatever. So after it's all done, one of the psychiatrists then evaluates you and tells you how you're scored. So it also, not only is it making sure that you're safe to yourself and others, but also where do you fall in the line of what personality you are? Because Survivor definitely has their like puzzle pieces of people. Like, we want a strong female, we want like a quirky person, we want like an older wackadoo. So it grades really good like TV. So they said I hit very high in a lot of the masculine stuff, but then I had some femininity that fit in, that they said tracked with a lot of the like really well-known like good female players in the past. And I was like, that is the coolest compliment I've ever had. So that was pretty cool. So they
because
kind
you were
of
already a fan, so you
like I knew who those players
you know who these
were.
people are.
Yeah, so I knew that that's where I fit in the puzzle piece, is like I'm that archetype of a personality. So that also is helping them figure out what archetypes everyone is to then further decide. But once you get there, you can't apply anymore. Like, they have you in their arsenal. It's up to you. You're on the bench. And if they want you, they want you.
Gee, was any of that surprising to you? Or was this like, oh, I assume that that's how this is going to go?
No, I had no idea how the process was going to go. In terms of how I scored, I was pleasantly happy that I was like, cool, I have good self-awareness. That's what I thought I'd be under. But as far as how the process went, no idea. And I also, because it was during COVID, it was all virtual. So otherwise, they would have flown us out to LA. I would have seen all the other people applying, which I think would have been a little bit more intimidating, and you'd be more in your head. So it was nice that like I had a regular day.
Right.
I'm like, 3:00, I have a Zoom meeting with all of the production of CBS. And I kind of could just be mentally prepared and then do it and then go on with my day. So I thought that also was a benefit to me that I was really happy with, not having to go to LA for a week.
I wonder if that worked for them from a production standpoint, and if they kept doing it. You know, there's so many things that like companies and people and houses and families and organizations did during COVID. And then afterwards we're like, oh, actually, that just makes more sense.
Yeah.
So I wondered, do you have any sense of that?
I don't know. I know that they have taken...
Cheaper.
It's definitely cheaper, which is why I think probably one of the reasons why they took away the live reunion, which personally I really love the live reunion. I wish they would go back to that. The only thing I would counter, yes, it's definitely way cheaper and easier to do virtual. My thought is, do they feel they don't get a good enough read on everyone in the virtual versus in person, that they're like, our casting isn't as great because we can't get a good vibe. We need them out here so we can really get a better view. So that'd be my only questionable thing, but I actually have no idea how their process is now, if they send people out to LA or not. I should have asked. I don't know. Because
the psychological tests paint a profile, but then at the end of the day, you put some folks in a room and it's like, you just have that human sense about
correct.
Like, oh, that's cool. Or, oh, geez, that could be problematic. Or maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want some problematic.
Yeah. Or like, wow, that's a dud. Like that person's not giving anywhere near as much charisma as the video or what they assume to be, that you're like, this is not who we thought we casted. So that's more what I would think of, like where you wouldn't know.
So this archetype that you're talking about, the you in that space, how did that play to your advantage or disadvantage at times? So being yourself, so of course, something like Survivor, it's not real life. However, it's mirroring all aspects of real life. It's just compartmentalized and put into entertaining programming, which is cool. But what parts of yourself like surprised you? Like, oh, this thing in me that maybe I don't always express, or that I sometimes wasn't even aware of. How did that help you? And then conversely,
yeah.
What were things where you're like, oh shit, that usually helps me in real life, but here it's a detriment.
Right. I thought overall my attributes were really helpful, because I do feel like I ended that season making really good relationships. I didn't really rub anyone the wrong way. I felt like which is the goal. Like the goal is to not piss anyone off, have everyone like you, and try to stay in as long as you can. So I felt like I did a really good job with that. Well, the negative was then I got voted out because they're like, we're not going to win against you and everyone likes you. So therefore you need to leave because I don't have a shot at the final. So that sucks. And that is an interesting dynamic that I've spoken with some of my castmates about, of like, because it seems like, spoiler alert, I got in fifth. So I was like, I don't understand it, the way I'm watching it. If you're a good player like that, there's no way to get farther than fifth place unless you win the challenge to like have your immunity, because at that point everyone's assessing, who do I want at the end? I don't want to stand next to you at the end and you're out. I would say a negative part of my personality that came out that I had to like navigate throughout, and I should have been a little more assessive at the end, is I am a very like alpha kind of person, and I feel like I have a strong opinion, and I feel like I want to just kind of express what we should be doing, but I need to listen more, because if I listen more, I can kind of assess what everyone else is thinking. What's going on with me is everyone is literally playing their own game. So there's 18 games going on, not just one with my view. So watching it back and seeing how much more of gameplay was going on that I was unaware of, or other people that had more intricate pieces in like the game itself, I think that might have been more helpful, because near the end, I was really tunnel visioned on who I thought needed to go. And I thought everyone was on the same page. And I got too comfortable on that day. And I kind of was like, I got immunity. I'm going to relax. Like, things are good. The plan is there. And then one of the castmates come up like, oh, so what do you want to do? I'm like, we're voting this person out. Duh. Right. And she, oh, okay. When really she wanted to tell me a different plan. But because I was so firm in my confirmation of what the plan was, she's like, I can't talk to her about it because she's not going to be receptive. And then that affected the rest of the game from then on. However, what I will also say is, when you are starving, you are so much more tunnel vision. So when you're watching, you're like, that's so dumb. Why aren't you paying attention to this and this and this and this and this? Yeah, on day 1, then day 3, day 7, day 14, day 21, like your brain can only comprehend and focus on so much. So you don't see all of those factors. So I have to give myself grace and remember that when you're starving so much, you don't see all of those things. So I can't like kick myself too hard about it. I would just, if I go on again, just be better at trying to remember that problem and really look through the starvation to see everything else.
What is the, so the food scarcity is part of the game.
Huge.
So what psychological effects did you see sort of taking place inside yourself and before and in front of everyone too? And why, like, whose idea was that?
That's Jeff's idea. Jeff totally.
The show's always been like that?
Yeah, and he loves it. He's like, he enjoys that like struggle. So when I played my season, they just changed the whole dynamic. So it was always 39 days, and then they brought it down to 26 days. So we told us, like, because it's 26 days, we're making this more difficult. So no rice, no nothing. Basically, he was trying to starve you and put you in a more difficult state early on to mimic the length of time of what 39 days would have been for a starving group of people. Okay. So he really like pushed it farther. And I said to him at one tribe, I'm like, 39 days is aggressive. 26 is more than fine. This is so hard. But so I think after like 12 or 13 days, there was a challenge that had like an Applebee's reward. And he was just like, I love to see, when you get to choose safety or food, what are people going to pick? Like when you're really in a starvation state, what do they care about more? So he is so into exploring like the human nature and how people respond. And given my dietitian background, had a definitely different take once I was out there than when I always watched it. Because I'm like, you always want to be safe. Screw the food. Don't be like too cocky that you're not going to get voted out. And now I'm like, my brain won't work. I need to eat to even make it into this game to follow along with what the plan is. So I wanted to eat to make sure I could keep that. But you notice people start to crack. Besides even the food, you're with someone 24/7 for however many days of people you wouldn't normally be around that you don't know. So especially if you're an introvert or you just need your own time, yeah, that's not happening. So people start to like get fussy, and that creates cracks, which creates social problems in your strategic social game. So that all compiles into how the whole game works, which I think is fascinating. But so I noticed that I needed food in order to keep on pace of like what the strategy was of who are we telling is voting for who are we actually voting for, like all that balancing act when you're brain dead, like forget it. Like you can't think of anything.
He sounds like a sadist.
He is, but he's also awesome. And I would love to be his best friend. So he's a good time, but also a little on that edge, but I feel like I kind of vibe with it.
Did your dietitian background and studies and certifications, all that, how much of a role did that play when you were in a situation that's as uncontrolled as that? Or actually it's controlled, but it's not in your control, I should say.
I would say it helped and didn't help at the same time, because all the knowledge I have doesn't change the limited food I have. So I'm still starving, whether I'm aware I'm starving and have limited like brain fog or not, it doesn't change. But I would say the positives of it that I thought when there's no control over anything, the little things I think matter in terms of how things work. And we were all starving. There was no food. And I remember in the beginning, we found like this breadfruit or whatever, which is like equivalent to potato. And so if we're only eating 1 cup of this potato, like 1/4 of this thing a day, I said to my tribe, I'm like, we're eating this before we have our challenge. Like if we're eating once, it's now, because we need to be fueled to be able to do well in our challenges. And I think that played a role in why we won so many of them compared to other teams. I felt like the second we found that frickin' breadfruit, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I have life again. Like it was a total game changer. So I thought that was a huge advantage. When it came to like, this is my personal strategy, but I thought that was kind of helpful too. Like in the limited food challenges that you win, like my food reward challenge, I knew, okay, because we've been starved for so long, there's only so much food we can get into us before we get too full. And like this one challenge was like pizza and potato chips. And I was like, I know potato chips are full of carbs and full of fat and full of calories without any fullness. So I'm going to house those as long as I can to just get more calories in me, which I thought was helpful to like last me a little bit farther. But then there was a challenge that somebody else won that I told him that was a smarter decision, where the options were you could either have cake and all these cookies or chicken breast and veggies. And everyone who's viewing would think chicken and veggies would be the smarter choice. Absolutely not. Cookies and cakes are way more of a better choice. So I said to him, I was like, that was a smarter choice because of how much fueling you need for the body. So it would have been benefit for me if I got to pick it. But so those things went into my head, and like drinking enough water went into my head. But everyone's still starving at the same time. While one of my other castmates celebrates Ramadan every year. So he was already his body was very familiar with fasting. So the fasting on the island didn't affect him mentally as much as it affected me, because his body was so used to it. While my metabolism was like, I'm dying. Like, you feed me every 4 hours and where's the food? Yeah.
And even just culturally too, like that's just baked into the culture. It's
yeah.
Like, oh, this is a thing.
And
there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
What? That's interesting. So was there anything else to forage out there? Was anybody sort of sneaky or creative or experimental with foraging any?
A little bit, not for whatever reason. I feel like our season as a whole, nobody cared to get food. It blew my mind. Even my tribe was picky eaters and they didn't even finish their food. I'm like, all right, I'll eat it. So I thought that was really bizarre in a survival standpoint. Like if you're dying and you're trying to survive, that you would want to get food. So I thought it was really interesting that no one cared. I think they all were like, I guess I can't, I don't know. So that I thought was really strange. But when I was trying to forage for food, first off, each island, there's 3 tribes and each tribe was on a little different island. And I noticed that each tribe had different food available. One had a little bit more crabs. One had these like limes, and like we didn't have any of that. But what I found out, and I said this out loud, and the producers were like, no, that's not true. I'm like, did season 41 like eat us out? There's like no food on this island. And then I watched the 2 seasons. Sorry, when Survivor's airing, they film both seasons back to back. That way they don't have to fly the cast out so many times and like rebuild stuff. So they kind of do them back to back. And we were on the tail end of being the second season to shoot. And then I go back, I watch season 41, the season before me. And on my island I was on, one of the castmates was a native to this type of island and grew up this way. And he was like, chopping breadfruit everywhere. He grabbed all these things, all these papayas. And I'm like, I knew it. They ate all of our food. And that's why there was nothing left for us. So there was a piece of it that there would have been more food if that castmate didn't already eat it all, because there was like 3 breadfruit left on that tree. And it was at the very, very top that you had to climb up. And I'm like, there was barely even any coconut. And I'm like, something is off. So there was limited things to forage, which I think Jeff probably enjoyed more because we got to starve more. But
Sadistic.
yeah. But oddly enough, I was beyond blown away that no one really cared enough to eat food, that if I wasn't cooking for everyone to get food, they would have just not eaten.
I'm guessing that a lot of those experiences and even trying to be like, hey, guys, we should, like a lot of those we shoulds kind of would speak to when you returned home and you got cooking with your business. So that's absolute nutrition counseling.
Correct.
Which you started just prior. And then,
2017.
Okay. A little bit
started.
prior.
So yeah, but either way, it was still a baby. It was still new.
And you didn't fire yourself, so
I didn't.
You were not let go from yourself.
I was very nice to myself when I got back.
And
Gave myself a good entry and interview.
Tell us about absolute nutrition counseling. Maybe who was your first sort of mentor about just nutrition and health? Like who was the person? Is there a person?
I would say, I mean, from being 12, I knew I wanted to be a dietitian, which is like weird for a 12-year-old. But I was always very athletic and active, but I also really enjoyed health and I loved food, like everything about food. I love how food is grown. I like all the different ways that you can manipulate food, all the flavors it can make. And at 12, like this is around 90s diet cultures all coming around. And like, I see all these people like on Weight Watchers doing all these different diets. And I see them like having good intention, but like starving themselves, eating food that's terrible, like giving this illusion that I either enjoy my food and don't live as long, or I want to be healthy or be at a certain weight and everything has to taste like cardboard. And I was like, this seems ass backwards. Like food, it tastes delicious. There's so many ways that you can enjoy food without having to do that. And that just became like an interest of mine. And that's what made me want to get into nutrition.
So it was a rejection of really at least what seemed like popular in culture at the time.
And I just felt like this just seems so dumb, which I'm happy that I had that mindset because a lot of people got sucked into it. Like in the opposite, it still is like that now.
Still today. I mean,
yeah,
you can hear the mantra that diets don't work. And like, it doesn't seem to really resonate with someone who's on a diet.
Right. Because at the end of the day, people want quick solutions and weight loss and health is not quick, or it's too overwhelming, which it is. It's a big undertaking to really change your whole lifestyle to be in a better way. So it's kind of like, that's too much. Give me 3 things. I want 3 things to follow and I want to do it for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You got my money. And that's just a great market and it's still going to stay there. But then I would say, so then I like beelined it into doing all the things that I needed of like, all right, go to college, I do my internship. And I really, really wanted to do one-on-one counseling. That was always my passion. But throughout school, they were like, you got to do clinical first. You're not going to get a job before you work in the hospital and do clinical. And I was like, fucking hate the hospital.
Is that part of the certification?
I mean, during your internship, you're doing every rotation. So kind of like a doctor or a nurse, how you do like your residency where you do every type of job within the field. So in that, you're doing the hospital, you're doing clinical, you're doing everything else. But then once you finish your internship, you can start studying for your exam. You pass the exam, you can do whatever you want. There's just this statement of like, you have to work in the hospital first, which is like really literally not true. And I was very much like, I hate that. I will find a way to not do it. And then I ended up working for this guy who had his own private practice, fell in love with it. And I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. It felt very second nature to me. Like when I was sitting and observing people, like watching them, I was like, oh, this seems like feels right. Like it wasn't like I'm sitting there being like, wow, I never would have thought to say that. I never would have thought to do that. I was like, those are exactly the things that I was going to suggest to that client. So it felt really right. So I worked for him and I really appreciated his style of teaching, which I really resonated with, which is also like, it's a lifestyle change. Like you're focusing on everything, on sleep, on their stress levels, on their exercise routine, if they're on supplements, like what their work schedule is like all, and like preferences of what they enjoy and don't like, all of that combined in. I'm like very holistic, which it's supposed to be. And then I kind of ran with it from there.
100%. It has to be a holistic approach. I mean, you can eat perfectly, but if your mind and your spirit or whatever, however you want to define it, is a hot mess, you're going to have all sorts of ramifications of inflammation. So it doesn't matter. You're going to be a breeding ground for disease from the environment, or maybe you're genetically predisposed or something. So the food almost, not that it doesn't matter at all, you'd probably be moving faster towards those negative outcomes had you not been eating well. But
Right.
So that's great. And you found that the industry, so to speak, for lack of a better word, wasn't really, taking that approach. They wanted to keep it narrow.
Well, what I've been finding out over the years, which I found very interesting, I assumed if you were a registered dietitian, we all had the same understanding. We all had the same view. We understand everyone's different. There's not one cookie cutter way that works for everybody. Be holistic. And then the more I meet with people and they say that they've met with a dietitian before and what they were told, I was like, wait, what? This is a unique thing that I'm offering. This isn't what everyone's having. And I spoke with my staff about it and they're like, yeah, I've experienced that too, that not everyone is teaching it the same way as us. So there's good doctors, there's not great doctors. There's people of all different professions. Some are better than others. Some have better approaches than others. And I guess this follows in line with dietitians too, that sometimes they might have a little bit more narrow approach. It depends on where their passions come from and what they feel works, or also how in tune are they with people. Like, if it was that easy, everyone would just do it. So there's a reason why people keep coming back, and it's counseling, nutrition counseling, because there's a lot of times, I'm not even talking about the food with people. They just lost their job. They're going through a divorce. They're working night shifts. They just had kids. Like, your life turns upside down. Like, life, I feel like, goes in seasons. So you need to cater to what's going on with them. And like, why are they not hitting their goals? What's really getting in the way of that? And figuring out ways that might work better. Because right now, people say to me like, oh, I know what I got to do. I'm just not doing it. And I'm like, do you though? Because you're not doing it. So there's a reason why it's not working. Maybe you're working harder than smarter. And then I tell people, you could do this. Like, I could do that. I'm like, yeah, you don't have to do it this one only way of how things work. There's a lot of different ways to incorporate things to work. So
that's a common flaw. It's a common flaw for people. And it's also like, I think maybe like something that the ego uses to like sort of trick our minds to quit on something.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, well, of course I'm not going to be, and then you build up a model of perfection. Well, of course I'm not going to be that. And maybe you won't, but that allows your ego, I believe, to then shut that down so the ego can continue to do its will. And food in general, I'm sure it is for me too. It's a security blanket. It's no different than like, running to the cabinet and like just taking the vodka out of the bottle.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to pour a
drink.
It's so
emotional.
I'm going to like do this to handle this.
Yes.
It's a coping mechanism for many people. And
100%.
And it's one that isn't stigmatized as much because it's not quote unquote a drug. However, it is a drug in that food and nutrition directly affects your brain, everything. Have you read some of Michael Pollan's books on foods and nutrition? He gets into a good amount of it as well, but really just studying, like, looking at food as a drug.
Yeah.
Which, maybe it's not classified that way by the FDA or something, but we know that, if I eat just straight sugar right now, there's going to be certain effects. I know that if I eat only avocados for 3 days, there's going to be certain effects.
Right.
Yet that understanding is not there. And it's understandable too, right? Because culture and advertising and business, it's the last thing they want. Like,
right.
The shitty food industry it's
booming.
A powerful lobby.
Oh yeah.
And they control a lot of the science too. So, just because a study is done, my wife is an epidemiologist and she's taught me how to evaluate. I probably still can't do it without her help, but how to evaluate whether a study is full of shit or not.
Right. Like, is there enough people in the study to begin with? Are there too many variables to actually do that? And like, you can kind of read and see how they're skewing stuff. And if I can get a little nerdy for a second, if you don't mind.
We like nerdy.
Oh, yes. So based off of what you were saying, yes, like food has a huge emotional toll on people, which is why it does have so many factors, why it's not just so simple as like, just do this, don't do this. So if you think about how the anatomy like is built and its purpose, the body is supposed to, when you eat food, or like whether it is sugar or fat or whatever, sugar is a carb, which gives the body energy for all of your organs to function. And then fat is what your brain is made out of, which makes your brain function, makes your hormones, like your like serotonin, making you happy, or your motor skills, whatever it is, which you need for survival. So those two aspects, your body's going to get this euphoric feeling because it wants you to go find more of that. So if you think of in caveman times, your body needs to give you this feedback to be like, this is good. I want you to think about food because we're starving. I want you to go to this because this is going to make us feel good. But we have evolved, but our anatomy is the same. So given how stressful life is, food is a very easy coping mechanism because it gives you that quick euphoric feeling, which is why so many people have an unhealthy relationship with food. But just like you said, going in the cabinet and getting the vodka is no different. And so I've experienced that with so many people that it's really digging into that piece that people struggle with, because everyone's very black and white, all or nothing. Nutrition or dieting or healthy is viewed in a very extreme way. You're either all in or you suck and you're not doing it right and you might as well just bail. And I have to really bring in the gray area for people of like, it's not that serious. Can everyone just chill out? Like
100%.
you want to go get ice cream because it's summertime, go get ice cream. That's fine. You didn't just destroy everything.
Everyone's in a gray area.
Yeah.
There is no, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard too, because like I said, the culture and advertising. I mean, you're based out of Asbury Park, New Jersey. We're here in Monmouth County, New Jersey, one of the wealthiest counties in the country, particularly in Asbury, at least in, east of Main Street. I mean, the amount of restaurants, like you're inundated with food choices, and that's cool. I mean, I have no problem with like how, like businesses come to be or stay or leave, but food it's just kind of like always there, like, hey, come on. And it's so competitive. So prices can be cheaper. These days, maybe there's issues with inflation and all that, but it's so there. It's as there as much as booze is there. And by the way, I like to have a drink. I like to eat. I like a million things that I probably shouldn't, but I think you're right. And what's the hardest part of changing like this culture? Meaning like, I think of Monmouth County. I think it's one of the best places on earth, first of all. So like I have tons of love for this area. I love being near the ocean. I love the culture. I love how when people think of Jersey, they have like, and I like that too. I'm like, good, stay away.
Yeah.
The Jersey Shore, like all the negative images that conjures up. I'm like, yes, good.
Right.
Because we have our pockets. Do you feel that there are like unique challenges in this area that maybe are not unique to other areas?
It's a great question. I think every area is a little different. Like there's certain areas, let's say somewhere else, that is either less profitable, less educated, and more like food deserts where there's less availability for options. So they're limited. We have all of the options. People have all of the money, generally speaking. But I would say it's like that in the not pressure, but just like, I don't know, wanting to be in the know, wanting to just be within whatever's trending right now and thinking that, oh, that's what I need, that's what's going to be better, or whether it's image or something like that. So I have to like reel people back in of like, don't just go on Ozempic because you want to lose 10 pounds. Like, can we like put some common sense here on like what actually matters, like health, how long we have to live, but people are more superficial, I would say, in this area. When you have the luxury to be superficial, when you have all the money, you have all the things that you need, everything's about image, everything on Facebook is like, who can have the best looking kid's birthday or vacation or this and that. Like it is so Pinterest of everyone's life. And like, I've had to really step away from that because it's hard to not have that rub on you, where you start questioning yourself and like, am I good enough? Am I where everyone should be? And then I'm like, everyone's full of shit. No, this is real. Am I allowed to curse on this? I'm sorry.
Fuck. Guys, we'll edit that shit out.
All right.
No, it doesn't matter. It's all good. This
so
is
I think,
this is the free world down here in the basement. Yeah. Be yourself.
So yeah, I think that is probably what's a harder pull, is having people get more grounded and realize what's really important and not be so influenced by other things. And also there's just an abundance of fake information that's out there that people are like, well, I read about this, and oh, well, I heard this article and I have a friend who did this. I'm like, I don't really care. I know the facts. I'm a specialist. My job is to know more about this than anybody else.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
The rise of, crappy information, and maybe crappy information was always there, but people's ability to see it and share it as per the will of the algorithms,
yes,
that's definitely intensified. So probably none of this information, it's probably things that were always there. It's just that for some people, it's literally force fed to them. And then if it makes you feel good, if it gives you a little rush, then yeah, you're going to share that with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because trends have always been there. I mean, you mentioned the 90s. This is pre-internet and pre-algorithm, but it was the algorithm then was like, who's paying for sponsorships and commercials,
right?
On
and
television.
Now you can see more people, you can compare yourself to more people, you can feel more left out than before, because now you have social media and all these things constantly in your face. Well, back before that was there, it's whoever you worked with, whoever you went to school with, kind of, it was limited within your bubble and you didn't really see a lot of that else. Now you can see everyone you want to see everywhere and really compare yourself. And comparison is the thief of joy, right? So it just makes people feel worse about themselves, and then compare more, and then feel more inclined to look forward to something to change than just being happy.
Yeah, spiraling down, but all the while getting like little dopamine hits
Yeah.
on the way.
Short term,
on the way to
long
hell.
term drag.
You mentioned a holistic approach, so maybe we could just set up like a little scenario.
Yeah.
So I don't know, first person, you made a face, so we'll go with you. So what would be like, just very broadly, I don't think we should do like a full session.
No, yeah.
If Rob is coming to you, what are like some general areas and some general areas of inquiry that you might approach him with as a new client?
Okay. First asking like what are his main goals and what he wants, but at the end of the day, I'm still assessing like your overall health, like making sure you're doing things correctly, that you'll live as long as you can without needing medications, whatever. Knowing your background as a teacher, I'm like, okay, how is your summer schedule versus your school schedule? Like, do we need some structure in the summer? Because there's usually none. So I have a lot of teachers where summertime, they're like, I don't know what to do and strategy, like structure my day. So that might be a little bit of a different thing. And then discussing like, okay, what are your likes and dislikes? And then making sure that we can incorporate that within what your lifestyle is like. So summertime, you might have a lot more freedom. I might have a lot more luxury of like, this is easy. He doesn't have a lot of obstacles. School year, boom, 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 boom. Here's your set time. This is when you can pee. This is when you can eat. You need to have everything packed in advance. How do we make that easier for yourself without wasting your whole weekend food shopping and meal prepping? Because that's always an assumption people have, is like, I don't want to spend my whole day meal prepping and food shopping. I don't either. Sunday, I like watch football. I don't want to be stuck in the kitchen all day. But that's everyone's vision of what it needs to be. So kind of expanding on that would probably be how I would start. And then I would also say, like, given a short amount of time, finding foods that are more calorically dense with less volume, so he has enough time to finish it all with the short time frame, is also like a creative switch I like to do in that limitation. Then on the summer, you have more options, you have more time, more variety, different foods. Don't have to be as stringent with what works for your school day.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point too, like even just down to like how the job structures everything from even just going to the bathroom. So shout out to all the educators with the high bladder control skills. Just want to give some love to educators who have really controlled it. You know, it's like celebrating, when a kid gets out of diapers. It's like, you're doing such a good job.
Yeah.
You're doing it. But like as a teacher, it's crazy. How are you seeing stress and nutrition? Not so much like eating because I'm stressed, but from a metabolic standpoint.
Oh, huge.
What are some of the correlations there? What are some things that maybe, well, I don't know anything. I'm just thinking. So educate me.
Yeah. No, great question, because I've been having this conversation a lot with people that I say that like America's lifestyle is so stressful. Like I can't tell you how many clients I have that they're like, there's just not enough time in the day. which is true. While other countries you travel and they're like having a siesta in the afternoon. They take months off to vacation. It's like, how are they managing this and life is good? Well, here it's like boom, 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 boom. So that I've noticed so many people have anxiety. So many people have way more stressors. And when you're stressed, going back to like how the anatomy works, when your body is stressed, it is thinking you're in danger of some sort, like you're being chased by a cheetah or something. And most people are not getting enough sleep because there's not enough hours in the day. So that alone is causing a lot of issues. So I would say, as like a snowball effect of things, your body is like, what the fuck is going on? Why are we in danger? Why am I not safe here for 8 hours that I need to get up and move? Or is there something of danger coming here? So then your body creates cortisol levels, or your cortisol levels go up out of a stress response, which your body doesn't want to feel at all times. So that is very damaging in different ways for different people. But for instance, like, I'm noticing a lot more like thyroid issues now. And thyroid issues can be a result of like your stress levels being increased.
Hypo or hyper?
Hypo.
Okay.
So like your thyroid, so hypo is like your thyroid's not working as well. So just kind of getting damaged. Your gut is a huge response. So I know that people have said that like your gut is your second brain. And like I'm loving all the stuff that's coming out now because it's going to be the first brain. I really truly believe that, because when people are like, oh, I just listen to my gut or my intuition, I can't even explain it. It's so nitty gritty and I don't know it all, but it is beyond fascinating that I do think that the gut has a lot more to control of what we think and what we do than what our actual brain does. So your gut gets completely disrupted too. So you might not be absorbing all the nutrients. You might not be having all the good gut bacteria that you need. Like, it's just really interesting how psychological things physically impacts us. And we're at a place now that it's starting to be more normalized and understood. Well, for a very long time, it was very separate, that what you physically did affects you, what you mentally do doesn't affect you the same. And they're very much together, which is why a lot of things I end up telling my clients is like, we need to find some like enjoyment. Like, you can't just be like, go, 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 checking off all the boxes, because even though on paper, you're doing everything right that I see, I clearly see that you are struggling with either your medical stuff on blood work or your weight isn't budging, and it's because you're stressed the fuck out. Like, we need to just like not work out every single day and have some rest. We need to like go do something enjoyable and fun and like relax and like sleep in when you can. But our society is so go, 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 do more, more, more. You can't relax. Otherwise you're not doing enough and you're lazy and you're not productive. It's like so ass backwards that I have to like reel people in. But I would say that is how stress would be impacting the human body in multiple facets.
Sleep is so important. You know, I don't know, I'm not a professional, but you know, I read a lot and I'm curious about things. And then after having children, you know, I wanted to read about things for them. So, you know, no kids want to go to bed. So that's just like
I don't want to go to bed.
Yeah, that's real. But you know, one of the angles I would take is like, hey, you know, in your age group and for several years, that's when most of your growth is happening.
Yeah.
So that's when most of the bone density and lengthening of bip blap and the other thing, and in the brain included, is happening. So, hey, you want to be taller than me, right? I hope, you know, like short Italian guy. So I'll even do like, I would play off it like that. And in adults, surely there's no growth happening after a certain year or age, but I believe, and what I'm reading is that's when healing is happening. So yes, it's healing to sit on the beach and look at a sunset. Yes, it's healing to exercise. Yes, it's actually, exercise is actually kind of the opposite. It's what happens after all that damage, but it's good to get a hug. It's good to community service. So those things are good, but the real like boots on the ground healing happens when we're sleeping.
Yep.
And I never made the correlation. I always considered myself like, well, I like to stay up late, and when everyone else is asleep, maybe I come down here and I'll write some music. But at some point a few years ago, I was like, no, I think I need to focus more on sleep. And I picked, you know, I started experimenting. I'm very much a citizen scientist. So it's just fun to experiment on yourself, and it's totally ethical because it's you. So you can do whatever you want, not harming anybody. And just trying to find the sweet spot. And for me, it was like 7 hours was the sweet spot. What are your feelings on on sleep in particular when it comes to amount of time, and do you notice differences about when someone goes to sleep or when they wake up?
Mm-hmm. Oh, great question. In terms of when they go to bed and when they wake up, like that's the whole circadian rhythm thing, which I'm sure is important, and I trust that there is a lot of backing of that, of like when it's dark, go to bed, when it's light out, you want to wake up. The body is very familiar with like the time of the day. But that's just not real life for a lot of people. So totally. I can't just like force that on you. So I have to be more like realistic. Even for myself, I've had to adjust that I've just learned, like, I have a really big problem going to bed. I don't know why. I just like to stay up and just watch my guilty pleasure TV as long as I can before I go to sleep. But as long as I still get 8 hours and I have the luxury to wake up later, then like, all right, well, then that works for me. Because I was trying to wake up earlier to have a different routine, but I found myself not being able to get to bed early enough because my work day's later. So I see clients later in the evening. So I want to also unwind, while other people, their day might end at 4 or 5. My day might not end till 8:30, and then not having dinner till like 9:30. So no, I'm not going to be asleep by 10. Like that's not going to happen. So I've been realistic, but in terms of how much time, it's an interesting question that you say, because some people are like, oh, I feel fine. 5.5 hours, like life is good. It's fine. It's like, no, it's not. That's what you think. This is your feeling of normal, which is down here. But if you knew what normal should feel like, you'd really feel like up here. And I have a client who struggles with sleep apnea, and he went to his sleep doctor at one point, and the sleep doctor was saying like, when you officially are getting 6 hours or less of sleep, it clinically affects your body. Where like it affects your breathing, it affects all of the medical stuff. Like whether you feel it or not, it is clinically happening. And I have a lot of people who wear like the Whoop or like other sort of like metrics on their hand, like a watch or whatever that shows that. And when I said that to another client who just had a newborn, so he's not getting any sleep, and he was able to...
That's excusable.
Yes. And I was like, what are we going to do about this? Like, I understand it. For the next few years, it's going to be rough, but we can at least give you grace. I'm not going to force it out of you. Like, what are you going to do? But he was able to see, like, it's so interesting you say that, because I've noticed that, like, my oxygen levels or my breathing levels were lower than, or like not ideal where they should be when I wasn't getting enough sleep. So it was helpful for them to see those metrics to like believe what I was telling them. But I would say as a kid and like high schoolers, like 10 hours, and they're never getting 10 hours as a high school kid, which also like really sucks. Like their schedule is almost busier than a lot of adults that I have. So I have a lot of, I guess, like I feel bad for a lot of high school students because they're nowhere near getting the 10 hours that they need.
And like a lot of school districts seem to trend as the grades go up, then the busing goes earlier.
Yeah, it's all about like what works for what's available.
It should kind of be the opposite, because, you know, it's easier to get like a first grader in bed before a certain hour and start early than it is to get like, you know, a 15-year-old, you know, out the door.
Yeah, especially like if they play sports, they have extracurriculars, they don't get home till 6:30, and then they have to do homework and all of that, and then wake up early. Yeah, but then as an adult, I would still say 8 hours is that sweet spot. Like that's really what you would want to aim for. And then experiencing, like if you do get a chance to get 8 or more hours, like if you're on vacation or something, see what you notice. Do you feel less foggy? Like less foggy minded? Do you feel you have more energy? Do you feel like you don't have dips later in the day? Do you just feel your mood is better? Like there's just things that you might not connect to sleep because you don't know that they all connect. But once you are being told to like assess all of this, you're like, oh yeah, I actually did notice I felt a little bit better. I'm like, yeah, that's because of sleep.
It's good to have someone sort of reporting on you. So whether it's a professional like yourself, or it's just like, you know, someone that you're sleeping with, like whatever it is, to have someone report, because it's hard to know your own baseline. So I might say, oh, I'm fine with 5 hours. Because when I wake up, maybe I'm just like,
right.
But then a person might then just like, you know, medicate with coffee and keep that going. So then being fine, you're not able to determine what fine is.
Correct.
So it's like, it's really important. I think the work that you do, it's important, because just to have an outside perspective, not everyone has like, you know, a mate or someone in their life that is available to even notice.
Right. And
give them feedback, let alone give accurate feedback, and let alone have you be able to take feedback from that person.
Right.
You know, there's people in our lives, like even just being married, there are certain things like for my wife, I'm like, I don't want to hear that shit.
Right.
But it's only because that's just one of the quirks of our relationship. So to have a professional.
Can I get nitty gritty for one more second?
Let's do that.
Okay. Just going on this in case we like move on to the next thing that you're going to ask, but in reference to all of that, what I find interesting of how the body also works is once you are doing the right things, your body starts to give you more feedback. So then you start like let's say you're living your life like I drink 32 ounces of coffee, I get 5 hours of sleep, but like I'm fine, and I eat like once or twice a day, and I don't drink any water, but like I'm good. So we can meet, but like I feel fine. My wife wants me to see you, but I think I'm fine. And then I give them some education, and then finally they're like drinking more water, they're getting more sleep, they're having less coffee, and then all of a sudden, like let's say they're still not hitting their goals all the way, but it's improved. They're like, Lindsay, I feel like shit when I don't drink enough water. Like I could tell when I'm dehydrated, and they're giving me a more intense response of a negative response from their body than it did when they first met with me because their body was so conditioned. And that's what's so great with the body is that it starts to talk to you. Like once it's like, hey, this is good, keep doing this. Or it's like, I hate this and I want you to feel like shit. So you stop it. Like cut this shit out and I want you to feel bad. So that helps. And that's why once people finally get into this good rhythm and are living this much healthier lifestyle, that's the selling point. It's not like, oh, I just want to be this weight, so that's all that matters. When they're like, I just feel good and I really feel like shit when I do all of these things. It's really easy to want to stay on track, but people need to like feel that difference to realize like, okay, I'm sold. But the body will talk to you once you start doing those things.
That's a great point. The biofeedback like skyrockets when you start to do things. And conversely, your body, which is pretty amazing too, it'll get used to anything.
Yeah, because it's like, I guess this is what I'm stuck with. So if I keep making him feel horrible, I'm really not going to survive. So I need to just accept this is what it is and make it my new norm just so we can keep living.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you did bring that up. Lindsay Dolashewich, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
This was really cool. I feel like there's so many other things we could explore. Perhaps we could do it again sometime.
I would love to.
What's the best way for people to kind of connect with Absolute Nutrition Counseling?
They could email me at info@absolutenutritioncounseling.com. The work phone is 732-233-0264. I will be the one answering. So I'd be more than happy to get people set up. I also like people to know that I take insurance. A lot of people are not aware that insurance offers these benefits. We pay enough money for insurance as it is. There's no reason not to take advantage of it. And I can help navigate all of that because working with insurance is a pain in the ass, but I do it because I really feel that nutrition education is a right everyone has, not a luxury expense. So I'll help people navigating through that to make sure they can get coverage so they can learn some good things. But yeah, I would say those two ways are the best ways to find me.
That's really great. And I guess my assumption, wrongly, as many of my assumptions are, was that something like this would not be covered by insurance. So that's really good to hear. And, you know, out there to policymakers and insurance companies, we the people would much prefer to spend some time and resources on the front end rather than the diseased back end of things. And treatment, prevention is where it's at. So
yeah. Oh, good luck telling insurance to focus on preventative care.
Oh, they'll listen.
But I hope it does go that way because it would be really helpful.
Yes,
preventative care is so necessary.
It's what's good for people, and I know that giant corporations, you know, that's not exactly their first, second, third, or fourth consideration. However, if we could arc in the right direction, I think that would be beautiful. And it sounds like you're on the right side of the team on this. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Bye.